What famous place is not worth visiting? Times Square on New Year's Eve. Just forget it. It has never been worth it. Me, an Egyptian. Ah shit, here we go again. In third grade, a meteor crashed in the backyard of a kid's house in my neighborhood. He talked about it every day at school and said people weren't allowed to see because NASA was collecting samples. A few days later he said we could go see, but everyone had to pay $5. Me and a few friends paid him and went over his house later that day. When we got to the backyard, we saw a 3-foot deep hole that was clearly dug by a shovel. We called him out on it and he said something like, "That's where it landed, but the scientists dug around it with shovels to take samples." Worst $5 I've ever spent. I have no idea where you are nowadays, but fuck you, Benji. Plymouth Rock in Plymouth, MA. It's literally just a small rock. Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's a sidewalk and outside of maybe big events where they may clean the ones around where photos may be taken, it otherwise is just covered in dirt from people's shoes and some are barely legible because they haven't been cleaned in ages. Hollywood Walk of Fame, dirty ass street with cheap shops and homeless everywhere. Only nice spot was near the theater. I work close to Times Square in Manhattan. If you have an ad blocker on your computer, you will hate Times Square. Niagara Falls is a really cool site, but it's not worth a trip if you're staying on the American side. The Canadian side is way better and has more things to do. You can see Mount Rushmore perfectly fine from the road. No need to pay to see it. Land's End, UK. Heralded as the 4th most disappointing attraction in the UK. It's not even disappointing enough to win an award. Edit. I mean the landmark in Cornwall, not a clothing store. Dearie me. Egypt, they treat tourists like garbage. While the Louvre is amazing and can consume entire days of walking, don't bother fighting the crowds to see the Mona Lisa. It's tiny and has a crowd of tourists dozens deep all taking pictures. No flash photography, be damned, so all you see is flash reflecting off the protective glass. Also, rumor has it that the real Mona Lisa is in a basement and that the one you see is just a very convincing replica. Plymouth Rock. I don't know how famous it really is outside of New England, but it's a rock that marks where the Pilgrims supposedly first landed in Massachusetts. It is quite literally just a medium-sized rock with 1620 carved in it, but every elementary school teacher around Massachusetts at least hypes it up for the class field trip to see a literal rock that is not big, impressive, or really historically relevant. Driving an hour on a bus to see this was the most anticlimactic thing, and I would not particularly recommend. Dubai is a twisted parody of everything wrong with modern society, and I judge anyone who goes there for their Insta pics. Edit. Grammar because I used the like a fool. And also thank you for silver. Checkpoint Charlie in Berlin. It used to be the border between the US and Soviet sectors, but all that's left of it is a shack and a sign, and the only thing you can do is pay to get your photo taken with someone in uniform. There's a frickin' McDonald's next to it. Leaning Tower of Pisa, just a small town without much going on, then a ton of tourists pretending to hold it up. Go to Florence instead. According to this thread, never go to Egypt, Hollywood and Dubai. Noted. Dubai. Mall of America. It's literally just a giant mall with the same stores as a small mall. Sometimes even the same store twice. Hollywood. I don't mean in the colloquial sense, but rather the actual neighborhood. The neighborhood includes the Walk of Fame and the Chinese Theater. The neighborhood is sketchy, dirty, filthy, disorganized, high crime, and just plain icky, and has been that way since at least the 1950s. The absolute worst period was from the mid-1970s to the mid-1990s, but the neighborhood just sucks less today. Hell, there's a big reason that the residents of West Hollywood literally seceded from any association with the Hollywood community, and formed their own municipality in 1984. There are plenty of fun entertainment industry related things to do throughout the Los Angeles area, in Hollywood as the world understands it. Just not Hollywood proper.